On October 9th, a small group calling themselves Citizens Working for Fernley mounted a recall against Councilman Monte Martin. There are a total of 1,780 registered voters in Ward 3. Only 153 total ballots were cast. Robert Chase, a rumored hand-picked candidate, was seated as councilman for Ward 3, with only 97 votes to his credit. It was also reported that a number of residents in Ward 3 were unaware of that recall election. Charles Lawson, an opinion writer in a local paper, wrote, "Unfortunately, the process doesn't allow for adequate noticing of all voters involved and has a relatively minuscule number of signers required on a petition for a recall. So everything combined made a rather rude education for Mr. Martin and a wake-up notice for those who irritate the rowdy element." The group has now set its sights on Councilman Kurt Chafin of Ward 4. According to the notice of intent, the group is calling for a recall because Mr. Chafin failed to provide adequate supervision and make proper inquiries into the performance of the former treasurer, failed to provide adequate supervision over the former city manager, failed to respond to constituent concerns and complaints, supported mandatory trash for Fernley, supported the Pozzolan mine within 400 feet of a residential property, and supported transferring water to Pyramid Lake to the detriment of Fernley farmers and ranchers. In this series, we will be talking in depth with Mr. Chafin and addressing all the issues and allegations set forth by this group. A couple of these things that they're, that the accusations are that, why they want to recall you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not entirely your decision up there on the council. It's everybody's decision.
That's right.
So when it comes to, it reads, failed to provide adequate supervision and make proper inquiries into the performance of the former treasurer, failed to provide adequate supervision over the former city manager. Okay, let's just take those two.
Mm-hmm.
You are one person out
That's
of 5.
Well, of the people who on the council who were concerned about the replacement of the former city manager, I was the second of 5 people on the council to call for that. It was difficult for me to do because I had considered the man to be a good friend of mine, and I don't like to go against somebody who's my friend. But it became apparent to me that there were some decisions that he was making that I did not feel were best for the majority of people in Fernley. And as I say, I was the second one of 5 to make a strong position to replace him. And indeed, 2 of us were against the other 3, and we did not succeed originally in the first effort to do that replacement. But within a fairly short period of time we did. And so I feel like I was in on the beginning of the need to replace the city manager at that time with a new professional city manager, and I'm extremely happy with our new manager that we now have. I feel that he represents a very professional outlook on the city of Fernley. As to the treasurer, I really felt that we ought to have a detailed audit to find out if there was anything amiss. The rest of the council, or the majority of the rest of the council, seemed to be ready to go ahead and make the change immediately. So I was not voting for it at that point, but I did feel that there was justification to try to find out if there was some kind of wrongdoing that justified the replacement, and I felt the best way to do that was by an audit. But the bottom line is we now have a new city manager, very professional. We have a new treasurer. Our financial manager comes from the background of very honest dealings in other cities in both Nevada and California, and I'm very proud of the way he's representing the city. We even have changed attorneys here recently, and we have who I consider to be a very professional attorney who has worked with us in the past. For a period of time we had our own attorney. It didn't seem like he was doing everything that we wanted, and so we've gone back to the original attorney, and I'm very pleased with the work he's doing for us. So The bottom line now is we have some very good people, and things don't happen overnight for replacements, but we have made those replacements, and I have been in favor of lifting the level of our management to a higher level than it was before.
When the township of Fernley became the city of Fernley, there were some slight changes there, but then we had to deal with growth. We had to deal with, it was like everything at once coming at 90 miles an hour like a freight train at us. And everyone at the planning commission and the city really had to kind of move quick.
Yes.
To make sure things happened and people weren't forgotten and whatnot. Getting with when laws were made, new ordinances for the city and whatnot. When you think about the staffing and the city manager and the treasurer and other people involved, a lot of that, the paperwork that a business would normally have, in other words, here's your job description and here's your 6-month reviews, here's your year reviews, with Mr. Baycock, it seemed that it kind of got left out, so that as the council as a whole didn't have any recourse to say you're not doing your job or you are doing your job, or because there was no paperwork in place at that point.
Well, we certainly improved the over a period of time. We did improve the evaluation of the people. I think we did have an evaluation requirement in for the city manager really from the beginning, but it was not as detailed as it is now. And a lot of the things that the former city manager did that were very, very good was to help us get started as from a town to a city, and he did well in a lot of that. A lot of good things can be said about Gary Bacon. I just feel that we grew to the point so rapidly that it was necessary for someone that had had more experience at a different level, and that's why I wanted to make the change. Mm-hmm. He was good in a lot of ways, and I'd still like to think of him as my friend, but on the other hand, I have to represent the people of Fernley and what's best for the city, and I think that's what we did.
Mm-hmm. And there comes a time in every executive's life that there's a possibility of hitting the ceiling. And
yep.
they can't take the next step,
yes,
because maybe they don't have the experience, or whatever, for whatever reason.
That's right. I think that's a very applicable situation here.
Mm-hmm.